Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. We've all seen the gruesome, harrowing videos from Manipur and the horrible atrocities they reveal. They've literally shaken the country as nothing in recent memory has. Well, my two guests today have gone through something very similar to what you've seen on videos. They're two young Kuki women. It happened to them in Imphal on the 4th of May. In the case of Nancy, her mother-in-law and her husband was murdered. She was brutally beaten up. She ended up with cuts and injuries on her head, blood clots on her brain that required surgery. Her hands were broken. She spent weeks in ICU and days in hospital in Delhi. In the case of Kim, it was her mother and her brother who were killed, and she too was brutally beaten up. But both of them are determined to talk about what happened because they want their countrymen to know what they've suffered and how they were treated. They are very brave young girls, yet it can be by no means easy to relive a trauma you've been through just 2.5 months ago. I'm deeply grateful for them for the story that they are willing to tell. Nancy, why don't you start by introducing yourself? You're in your late 20s. How long had you been married when this terrible thing happened?
My name is NANCY CHINGTHIANNIANG. I'm 29 years old. I'm a survivor of ethnic cleansing in Manipur. I lost my husband and my mother-in-law on the 4th of May. I was married for only 5 months when that happened.
So you were a new bride?
Yes.
Kim, tell me about yourself.
My name is Kim Gangti. I'm 20 years old. I'm a second-year college student, and I'm a survivor of the ethnic cleansing in Manipur. And I also witnessed the brutal murder of my mother and my brother in broad daylight.
What are you studying in university?
I'm studying mathematics in the university.
And in what year were you?
I'm in the second year.
Now, your mother, I believe, was an undersecretary with the government in Manipur. Your father works in the police department in Imphal, but when this happened, he was in Churachandpur.
Yes.
I take it your father knows what's happened.
Yes.
Have you met him since this happened?
Not yet. He was in Lamka when this whole thing happened, and since we directly flew from Imphal to Delhi, we have not been able to meet him yet.
Where do your parents live, Nancy? Do they live in Imphal?
No, they live in Lamka, Churachandpur.
So you came to Imphal after your marriage?
No. Before I got married, we stayed in Imphal. But then after I got married, my parents shifted to Lamka, Churachandpur on March.
Tell me, Nancy, what happened on the 4th of May? Give me as many details as you're prepared to share. And Kim, as she speaks, if you feel a need to supplement what she's saying or to fill in when she's forgotten, please happily do so. But why don't you start by telling me what happened on the 4th of May?
Where before the 4th of May, On 3rd May, we stay at our relative home because the Meitei community started burning houses in different areas of the Imphal, like the houses and churches. So we're afraid for our life. So we stay together with our relative, so that we feel more safer to stay together. Then in the morning on 4th May, at our morning, we head back home. Then
Back home in Imphal.
yeah, back home in Imphal. Then we heard about the news that the CRPF came, which provide escort to our hometown, Lamka Churchampur. So we pack our things as whatever we could and started going
Heading towards the
heading
CRPF
towards the
camp.
CRPF camp, which is near the DC office in Far West. So on the way, mobs of Meitei and Mera Paibi were blocking the roads, were blocking and stop us from going to the camp. Then the mob look at our face, like try to identify are they Meitei or Kuki. Then as soon as they see us, they know that we are Kuki, so they told us to come out of the car, and they told us to come out of the car and forcefully just pull out of the car. Then they start breaking the car and all with a wooden stick or an iron stick. Then they pour kerosene and burn the car. Then the mobs started beating up my husband on the side. Then the rest of us, like, we're 7 members on the car, so the rest are only a woman and a baby. And so when the mob started beating up my husband, the rest of us ran towards him to protect him and seal him as we could. Then among the Meitei mob, one man stopped, help us, like break up the help my husband from the mob, and he make all of us sit on the bench in front of us, on the side of the road. He make us sit on the bench, and he said that I'll help you. I'll do what I can to help you and let you go. He said that. So my mother-in-law started crying and pleads to the man that please help us, please let us go. And she was crying so much that she was so weak. She played them as much as she could, but the mobs were so many in front of us, and they were shouting at us, saying, "You are Kuki. We used to be dead. We should kill you. We don't deserve." Like they were telling us that we don't deserve to live. So they were asking us, "Where are you going?" And at first they asked our identity card, like Aadhaar card, to identify are we Kuki or not. Then we say that we are Mizo, but among the mobs, I mean, so that Mizo and Kuki are the same. Let's kill them. Then they said that. Then they try to beat up my husband since he's the only man, and they target my husband, like the men mostly at the time. So they try to beat my husband, but the rest of us, me, my mother-in-law, my sister, my cousin, and my auntie who is carrying the baby, we seal my husband as much as we can. Then the man who helped us in the beginning stopped the man from beating up my husband. Then Then a car drove by, and a car came up. Then most of the mob go towards that car, like as they come and stop us, and they go to the car. While they were busy with that car, the men told us to hide in one home that's behind the shop. Yeah, then behind the shop, he make us go to the house and hide us. So
So
we,
this man who was helping you, who
yeah,
made you sit on the bench, took you to hide in a home or a shop behind.
yeah, a home.
A home
Home beside.
right behind the shop.
But all that time, her husband, your brother, was being beaten up by them.
Yes. He already started bleeding when they beat him up in the road, and we were made to sit on the bench. We were questioned about our identity, whether we were Kuki.
And you were sitting on the bench, forced to watch your brother being beaten.
No, my brother was also on the bench. The six of us with the baby, we were made to sit on the bench and we were questioned. And while we were being questioned, another car drove into that area. And while the mob was distracted, the same man who tried to help us out, he took us to a nearby, no, a house, a kacha house, right behind the shop. And we went into that house, we locked the doors, and after some time, the mob, they came to know that we were hiding in that house. So they came towards the house and they started pelting stones at the house. And I started dialing the helpline number 112, and to my surprise, it did not work. So since we know that they were targeting men first, my mother and me, we locked all the doors and we tried to block the mob from coming inside. We made our brother stay inside. And the mob, they pushed the door open. And my mother and me, we stood at the door trying to block the mob from coming inside. But they hit us with iron rods, long iron rods from outside. So they hit me in my hand and I started bleeding. So I was already scared and shaking, but I still stood at that door. And after some time, a man with a big body, he pulled me by my hair, and the mob, they entered the house and pulled all of us out of the house. We were all separated from each other, and they pulled me by my hair to the road, and even while walking up to the road, they constantly hit me with sticks and large wooden.
What was happening to your brother and mother at this time?
We were all separated, so I did not see them until I reached the main road.
And then what happened? You saw your brother being attacked and killed.
And when I reached the main road, I started searching for my family members. And to my right, I saw my brother running on the road. He was already bleeding, so I started running towards him. And at the side, I saw my aunt carrying a 1-year-old baby. And the women folk, the Mera Paibis, were hitting and slapping the baby and even pushing the baby's head.
They were hitting and slapping a 1-year-old baby.
Yes, the baby was crying the whole time since he was too scared. And even my aunt carrying the baby was being hit by wooden. What was being hit by woods, and the baby cried the whole time since it was too scared. And
The mob attacked your brother, and were you there when they were attacking him and killing him?
yes, and I saw my brother running towards the opposite direction to my right, and I started chasing my brother and tried to cover him up. His head was already bleeding and he could not run for long. He fell down on the road, and I tried to lay on top of him trying to cover him up, but the mob, they started running towards him and pushed me away from my brother. And since I was a bit far from my brother that time, and the mob, they were busy thrashing up my brother, a man whispered to me to run away if I did not want to die. And
You had no choice.
I had no choice but to start running in the.
What happened to your mother?
I did not see my mother that time, and as I started running towards the opposite direction, my aunt carrying the baby and my cousin sister, they were right beside me on the road. I pulled them up, and the three of us with the baby, we started running towards the opposite direction. And as I turned back for the last time, my brother was lying on the road. He was already unconscious. He was covered in blood. And my mother tried to cover up my brother as a human shield. She lied on top of my brother, trying to cover him up. And the mob around my brother's body, they were cheering and clapping and celebrating at the sight of my mother and my brother lying on the road.
Do you think the same mob, while your mother was protecting your brother, killed her?
Yes. And that was the last time I saw both my mother and my brother.
What happened to you, Nancy? You got separated from everyone. What did they do to you?
Well, in the house we stayed together. All of us would stay, but while we stay, like maybe 1 minute, around 1 minute, I look at my husband and I see that he was bleeding, so I asked him, "How are you? Are you in pain?" I asked him, and he was so tired. He was shuddering in fear and in pain, and he would answer me so in fainted voice that, "I'm fine. It's not paining." But I can see that he was lying because he doesn't want to make us worry or scared. So
He was being brave.
yes, he was acting brave. I know that, and that was the last conversation I had with my husband, and that's the last time I see him. And then the mob opened up the front gate, like my sister-in-law said. They pull out my husband from the house. They pull, and then the rest of us also follow the mob and my husband. But behind me, the Meitei, the Meitei pulled me by my hair in the opposite direction, away from my family. They pulled me and kicked me or punched, start attacking me. And then I plead to them, "Please let me go. I want to go to my family. Please let me go." But they wouldn't even listen and just started hitting me with a stick, my legs and my hands, and started slapping me on my face. Then I started bleeding and my hands started swelling. And they even tried to tear my clothes, and they would they made me sit down on the side of the road, and a woman, the Meitei, one woman would shout to me and talk about the fake news about Kuki men rape Meitei, and he was shouting, talking about that, and then and then the Meitei, that woman would shout to their Meitei men, "I give you the right to rape this woman. Come and rape her."
The Mira Paibe was saying to Meitei men, "I give you the right to rape this woman,"
Yes,
meaning you.
yes, me.
Did they attempt any molestation?
No, but she was shouting and asking the men to rape me. Then I was so surprised and I cried because she's a woman, and how could she say that to another woman? And I was so scared and I was surprised and I was so afraid. Then later they would ask me to walk away. They would ask me to walk to the Meitei community hall.
They asked you to walk to the Meitei community hall.
Yes.
What happened there?
They told me to walk to the Meitei community hall. Then I walked slowly because my legs were so pain and numb. I couldn't even walk fast. Then right before I reached the community hall, they stopped me and they would start, as you might have seen the video of me on the feed. Again, there I see elderly men, elderly women, children. Everyone was there watching me, and then they start verbally assaulting me again and there, and even beat me, kick me.
Elderly people, elderly men were beating and kicking you.
The elderly men and elderly women were verbally assaulting me.
When did you get that terrible cut which requires stitches? That's why you've got your hair so short and the cut is over there. When did that happen?
Well, after I reached before I stayed there in the community hall, they asked me to go back to where I started again. So I go back slowly. Then they would kick me and they push me and even pull my hair and told me to walk faster and go and asked me to go back. Then I reached the DC office of Imphal West. The gate is locked, but when I reached there, I could see some security guard. Like around 4 to 5 security guard were there. So I try to ask help from them. So I stand in front of the gate, but the mob shouted at the security guard, "Whoever tried to save him, help her, we will kill you." Since the mob said that, the security guard couldn't help me, and I was so helpless. Even while I stand in front of that gate, and the security guard would even witness how they kick me and punch me and hit me with a big wooden rod.
Was that how you got this cut?
Yes. First, one of the Meitei started swinging, and I know she aimed for my head, but she missed and hit on my shoulder. And then start hitting again on my legs and hands. Then after that, a man come and start swinging the wooden rod, then hit on my right side head.
That is when you got this cut.
Yes. Then the first hit made me dizzy and it was so painful. So I was weak. My legs start. I couldn't stand anymore, so I fell on my knees. Then the second time, I lost conscious. Then fell on the ground, face down.
So they hit you till you became unconscious and collapsed on the ground.
Yes, I collapsed on the ground at the second blows.
Who took her to hospital? Because she was taken to the hospital in Imphal where she was in ICU for 9 days. Who took her there?
On her medical reports, it was written that she was brought to the hospital by the police.
The police did arrive, but they came too late to save anyone. But at least they were there in time to take her to hospital.
Yes, and by the time the police have arrived, both my mother and my brother were already dead.
In hospital, because of the hit on her head, she had to have brain surgery.
Yes,
There were blood clots on her brain.
yes.
Craniotomy was the surgery. Craniotomy.
Craniotomy, which means that they had to actually remove the top of the skull to be able to do it.
No, they only stitch up the wounds.
And performed surgery on her brain since there were blood clots.
They performed surgery?
On the brain since there were blood clots in her brain.
How did she come to Delhi?
Nancy, my sister-in-law, she stayed in the ICU in RIMS Hospital for 9 days, and she was assisted by her younger sister from Imphal to Delhi. And she reached airport from the hospital with the help of the army convoys.
And in Delhi, you were at the trauma center, AIMS Trauma Center, for another 10, 11 days.
Yes, 12 days.
I believe there were other Kuki people who had suffered similar tragedies in the room with you, one of whom was going through a traumatic experience.
Yes, his name is David Joe. I heard him screaming also in the middle of the night, and the nurse would tell me he was so traumatized he would fall out of the bed in the middle of the night. And then, yeah.
This is a terrible experience you've been through. I'm grateful you're talking about it. Tell me something. What effect has it had? What impact has it had on both of you, on your state of mind? Are you depressed?
We're still very much traumatized by this incident. We're still numb. We don't know what to feel yet, and we have trouble falling asleep at night. And even when we manage to fall asleep for some time, we have nightmares about being chased around by mobs in the streets of Imphal.
What about you? How are you dealing with what you've gone through?
It's very hard because even when I close my eyes, I could see, I see the flashback every time. Even I close my eyes, so I couldn't even sleep, and even have nightmares, and it's so hard. Even when I even think about it, my whole body would shake, and and the tears would just come out every time I think of my husband and my mother-in-law.
And now the two of you and your elder sister are the three together in Delhi.
Yes, we stay together.
You've lost your mother.
Yes,
Your father is in Chura Chandpur, unable to come.
yes.
So the three of you are alone in Delhi.
We stay with my cousins in Delhi with the three of us.
Why has your father been unable to come from Chura Chandpur?
My father, he does not want to leave the house until the funeral services are being done.
These are the funeral services of your mother and brother, her mother-in-law and her husband.
Yes.
Where are the bodies?
Their bodies, they've been kept in the RIMS morgue since the 4th of May. We have not been able to claim their bodies yet. And we have no access to the morgue, so we don't know in what conditions the bodies are being kept.
That is another traumatic thing for you.
Yes.
And your father doesn't want to leave Chura Chandpur because he wants to be there
Yes.
for the last rites of his wife and his son.
Yes.
Are the authorities not able to help get the bodies to Chura Chandpur?
We have no idea about that, sir.
Would you ever go back to Imphal again?
No, because even again, my dear.
There's no way we can go back to Imphal, the same place that did everything, that took away everything we had, the same to go and live together with the same people that murdered my brother, that murdered my mother, that laughed at them, that laughed at their dead bodies, that the same people that left my sister-in-law for dead. We would not be able to go back. We will not go back to Imphal.
So Imphal will never be home again.
Yes.
Tell me, before this happened, how many years had you lived in Imphal?
We've lived in Imphal for almost 30 years.
30 years?
Yes.
Were you born in Imphal?
Yes. I was, me and two of my siblings, the three of us, we were born and brought up in Imphal.
So Imphal really is the only home you knew?
Yes, it was a home to us, but it is not a home anymore. because of the trauma, because of all these traumatizing things that we faced there.
Did you have many Meitei friends?
Yes,
Close friends?
yes,
Did you have many Meitei friends?
Yes, I have.
Have they been in touch with you after what happened?
yes. A few of them tried contacting me while I was still in the camp.
But have you lost contact with them now?
Yes.
How do you today view the Meitei? As you said, they were friends of yours, but they are also the people who beat you up. You had to have a brain surgery. They killed your husband, they killed your mother-in-law. They thought they'd killed you, but luckily you survived. How do you think of the Meitei today?
I can never call them friends again, and I, I don't. I will never be able to even look at them or stay with them again, because they killed my husband and my mother-in-law, and they beat up me. But by the grace of God, I was safe.
So you can never have Meitei friends again.
No,
Will you return to Manipur? Or will you now make your home in Delhi?
We will go back to Manipur in Lamka.
Lamka is Churachandpur.
Yes. We'll go back to Lamka after my sister's treatment is done and stay with my father there.
How long more does she need for the treatment to finish?
2 to 3 months. She's still recovering and we still go for regular checkups.
Are there pains that you still feel? Are there things that you can't do because of the injury?
yes, I can't hold things properly because it's hard and it's so stiff, and I used to have dizziness and headache if if I didn't get a good sleep or yeah, I'm still recovering.
Tell me about your father. He's been through a trauma too. He lost his wife, he lost his son. He can't get hold of the bodies. How has he taken this?
My father is trying his best to stay strong to us. I'm sure he does not want to show his weak side to us, but I can just feel that he's weak. He's feeling weak too, even by his voice through phone calls, and that's how he's dealing with the news.
Nancy, you're 29. You were married for 5 months and you've become a widow. Have you thought about your future or is it too early to do that?
No, I can't think about the future because I'm so traumatized now. I hope God's will help me in the future.
At this moment of trauma, how much comfort do you get from prayer, from Jesus, from religion?
For us, when we feel traumatized and when we feel numb and when we feel sad, the only thing that comforts us is spending time with God and through prayers, and we get a peace of mind when we do that.
So prayer is your comfort at the moment.
Yes, and we're very grateful that even though we went through a traumatic experience, we're being able to get treated and we're recovering.
I want to thank both of you for the incredible bravery that you've shown, for the great composure with which both of you have recounted the horrible things that have happened to you. It cannot have been easy to relive them, but I'm very grateful that you told us what happened so that the country is aware of what happened to the two of you, and through the two of you, they get a sense of what is happening to the Kuki people in Manipur. look after yourselves, take care, and remember, there is always another brighter day ahead, even if today looks terrible and dark. The future will be better. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.